this MLB Wild Card Game 3 between the Mets and the Brewers betting predictions edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MLBSGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Here to get into Game 3 of the MLB Wild Card matchup between the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, for most baseball fans, they're excited for Game 3. Other fans are very nervous. If you are a Mets fan, and I do have the resident Mets fan here with me today to help me break everything down for Game 3, and we'll recap the other 3 series that ended up being sweeps for the wild card round at least. But joining me, I got my guy here with me. It's still in Rockford. D-Rock, how you feeling, my man?
I would feel better coming on here with a sweep, but you know, I'm doing well. We still have a chance to win and advance to the NLDS to take on the Phillies tonight. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, last episode I came in with my Met jersey on. Didn't really have luck with it, so I'm trying no jersey today. So hopefully we have some luck.
Yeah, no jinxes, no superstitions, at least for Game 3 here for the Mets and the Brewers. Yeah, well, we can start with, the other 3 series yesterday. And then we can lead it up to the Game 3 here tonight. Like we mentioned, for the Brewers and the Mets, should be a great one. Let's start with the first game. We'll just kind of go chronological order, go from there. The Astros falling to the Detroit Tigers. Tigers, I mean, we talked about it a lot. I think everybody obviously knows. One of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team, since the month of August. And I think, number one, you got to give a lot of credit to, and I tweeted this out, to number one, AJ Hinch, for the way he's been able to manage this team, literally with, we could say, 1.5 starting pitcher since that point. I mean, it was pretty much Tarek Skubal. And then they were just piecing it together. But that bullpen has also been amazing. It was on full display yesterday against the Astros. And, I got a lot of questions and a lot of DMs about what went wrong with this Astros team. And I think, it was just the prime example last night. It was the bullpen. It was Josh Hader. And that was something at the beginning of the season that I was, excited about. I guess we can say that we added him to the bullpen at the beginning of the year, but he got off to a really bad start. And it was, in particular, it was just a microcosm of what we saw in the first series of the season against the New York Yankees, where the Astros had leads in those games for only the bullpen to come in and cough them up and lose those games. And case in point, last night, that's what transpired for this team. And, you just could feel that the Astros really didn't have that that kind of it factor where they've had over the past several seasons. Case in point, the last 7 years, at least when they've made it to 7 straight championship series, which is an accomplishment on its own. But at some point, the titan is going to fall. That these young teams like the Tigers, case in point, just were playing with a lot more confidence. And I truly believe a lot of times, Dylan, that a team that's really hot coming into the playoffs, especially in baseball, I think they have a lot of success here. And I think they're going to give the Tigers, the Tigers are going to give the Guardians everything that they have, because the odds are really, for the series, I guess, between those two teams, it's closer than I anticipated here. But, congrats to the Tigers. But again, this Astros team has a lot more questions going into this offseason than they do answers right now.
Yeah, it was a great series for the Tigers. Like you said, kind of a team of destiny right now. Crazy stat, but, this 26-man roster for the Tigers in the wild card roster combined for a salary of $18.8 million.
Yeah.
62 MLB players had more than that individually this season. So what have they been able to accomplish with, not the star power that a lot of people know? This team is just gritty. They want to win. There's a lot of vibes on this team right now. And, I think you and I were actually previewing few months ago during the before the season how good this bullpen was going to be for this Astro team, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And then here comes that's what's actually blew it for this team. I think Insano makes a great point as well, just not timely hitting as well. Ninth inning, case in point. In game 1, they had all the opportunity. Game 2, they left a bunch of guys on base as well. So it was insane. I think Skubal pitching flawlessly in game 1 was huge. It was a big confidence booster for them to go into game 2. Their bullpen has been great. And to be honest, I think AJ Hinch, he's been making all the right calls, getting revenge on his former team, knowing when to put in the bullpen as well. At this point, I think this team, you have to consider them as legit. They're real contenders. And, and to beat a team with that much playoff experience, it says a lot about this team and how far they could definitely go. And I agree. I definitely think they're live to beat the Guardians, and the odds indicate that.
Yeah, and I mentioned this, and I was completely wrong when we previewed the Astros and the Tigers series. I think with you, Mal, and myself, I said that the playoff experience would probably be a little too much for this Tigers team, and lo and behold, it really wasn't. And also the Astros bats weren't even really able to get it going either, right? And it just kind of leads into why the Tigers had a lot of success in their series. So, yeah, I mean, look, congrats to Detroit Tigers. If you're a Tigers fan, I would definitely be excited about the future of this team next season. But hey, you are still in October. You're still playing baseball. You have a American League divisional round series against a division opponent in the Cleveland Guardians, who you know very well. So I'm definitely going to be very excited to watch the Tigers and the Guardians.
Did you hear Altuve? He made comments after the game saying, the management, they need to start to pay Alex Bergman. Do you think he stays or you think he goes? I mean, Altuve wasn't good himself defensively. He was 0 for 8 at the plate. So
yeah. I know he's been a fan favorite here, like the core of this team when they initially won the championship in 2017 was Altuve, Correa, Bregman, Springer, and 2 of those guys are already gone. I would love to keep Bregman here, but I think at the same time it's going to have to be at the right price for him, because if you're able to keep Altuve, Jordan, Bregman, Tucker, Pena intact, and even you could throw Diaz's name in there as well. I mean, that's still a solid 1 through 5, 1 through 6 there. And then I think the bigger concerns for this Astros team is on the pitching side. And I think there was a lot of inconsistencies there this season where it was telling Dylan that Justin Verlander didn't make the roster for the wild card round. And I know he's getting up there in age and he was on the IL for most of the season for this Astros team. But I think after, 2 years ago, where he in the 2022 season where the Astros won the World Series, after that, it was just, it's been downhill for him. So I think that I'm not sure if he's going to play another season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised again at the same time if you're retired there as well for this Astros team. But they really have to do something to address the starting pitching after Framber Valdez. And Valdez in game 1 just wasn't very good. I think he let on a base runner every single inning that he was out there as well. So you just really can't do that in the postseason. So I think for Alex Bregman, I think they want to keep him. But always it comes down to, contracts and how much money he's going to command here, for this Astros team. So we'll see if he's able to stay here or not. All right, before we get over to the next series that transpired yesterday, let's take a moment away from sports because, we always have a great time around here, whether it's on the MLB pod or whether it is, on the other shows around the network. But at the same time, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, we are for the people, right? And we had a hurricane on the East Coast, Hurricane Helene, who has devastated the people of Western North Carolina. And SGPN, we're teaming up with a local charity there, mountainprojects.org, to help give back. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the CFB Pick Show and a ton of gear. And if you want to help out, every little amount matters. Whether it's $1, $5, 20, whatever the case might be, whatever you can give. Maybe you play one less parlay, maybe make one less bet this week and give back to the people that were affected by this hurricane. And I can attest to this because being down here in Texas, in Houston, on that coastline, we've been through multiple hurricanes, and it sets you back. If you're affected from it, it sets the city back until you get that aid. And I think for us to team up with mountainprojects.org, I think it's a huge thing. So whatever you can to help out, I think all you got to do is just go to mountainprojects.org and hit that flood support bed to help out today. So we greatly appreciate it. And again, like I mentioned, the biggest donation will get a guest spot on the CFB Picks Show and a ton of great merchandise from the Sports Gambling Podcast merchandise store. Also, let me remind everybody of the most DGen pregame shows that do happen in the entire world. Well, let's be honest, guys. Saturday, the College Experience YouTube live show starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then on Sundays, the Propcast with myself and Lante kicks off at 11 a.m. on Sunday, East Coast time, followed by Sean and Ryan show, the SGP at noon Eastern time. To get all your last-second bets in your DGen parlays, we also take your calls, talk about some of your bets that you're looking at, and much more. So again, mark that on your calendar. Saturdays, College Experience on YouTube, live at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then on Sundays for the NFL, the Propcast kicks off at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays, followed by noon Eastern time with Sean and Ryan at the Sports Gambling Podcast. All right, D-Rock. So the second game of the day yesterday that wrapped up, and I was really not surprised by these results. I actually did like the Royals to win the series. Was them going in against the Baltimore Orioles and doing exactly what the Detroit Tigers did to the Houston Astros. And when we talked about the Detroit Tigers, I think and how well they were playing in the month of August, it was completely opposite for the Baltimore Orioles because they just couldn't hit a baseball to save their life. That team has a very nice young group of young players and future all-stars, but also I think you have to surround them with veterans to be in that clubhouse with them. And also I think they have to do something to address their pitching as well. I know I mentioned this, that Corbin Burns had a fantastic outing, but you also have to be able to produce runs in the postseason. They just weren't able to do that. But Royals went in there behind Cole Ragans, behind Seth Lugo, and just went in there and stole the victory. Now they're going to match up against the New York Yankees. That's going to start on Saturday here. So I was thinking maybe the Royals get it done in 3 games here, but for them to get a sweep here, D-Rock, it's really impressive on their part, especially for a team that was struggling as well down the stretch.
Yeah, 100%. We don't cash the over 2.5 games, though, in the series. That's what I really liked because I did think Orioles were going to break the streak, but 10 straight home playoff games they've lost now in Camden Yards. I don't know what it is, but they just can't win to save their life right now. To score 1 run in 2 games for an offense that for most of the year was a top 10 offense, that's very telling. Mal and I talked about it yesterday, but it really seemed like the bottom of the lineup was Cedric Mullins. He kind of had the best series out of anyone on the team. So that's very concerning as well. And like you said, the starting pitching has been terrific for the Royals. Cole Ragans, he was dominant game 1. Seth Lugo comes in, and that's what they did. They brought in a bunch of guys over the offseason, even a guy like Michael Wacha. He just eats up a ton of innings, and that's what this young team needed. So I thought they pressed all the right moves in the offseason. They actually have the best bullpen so far. Obviously, short sample size of 2 games, but they've come in. They really honed it in as well. Bobby Witt Jr. continues to deliver. He's big time at such a young age. And they just know how to win close games as well. So this is another team. We talk about the Tigers being hot at the right time and being live against the Guardians. I think this Royal team, and they have a little rivalry, a fake rivalry, I guess you want to say, with the Yankees as well, dating back to last year. So I think it's going to be a good series. It is the biggest. Yankees are the biggest favorite in this ALDS series, but watch out for the Royals. I think they could sneak 1 or 2.
Yeah, they'll match up with the New York Yankees in game 1 happening on Saturday for the American League divisional round. Michael Wacha is going to get the start there, like Dylan talked about for the Royals. It'll be Garrett Cole getting the start for the New York Yankees in game 1. That'll be on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, TVDVJ pointing it out that Royals scored 3 runs in the entire series, 2 games, and they were able to sweep the Baltimore Orioles. I think that, and again, that just kind of goes in case in point to how bad the offense was for this Baltimore Orioles team, I should say. Last game that transpired on Wednesday night, the San Diego Padres taking care of business against the Atlanta Braves. I think all of us did like the Padres in this series, and I think it was
Yeah.
just very, very difficult for the Braves because they were missing, I mean, their top guys. When you don't have Spencer Strider, you didn't have Chris Sale, you were missing Ronald Acuna Jr. in your everyday lineup there as well. It was just very, very difficult. And they were in a tough spot as well, right? Coming off that doubleheader on Monday, having to travel all the way to the West Coast. And the sign we talked about it, right? This Padres team was healthy. Their pitchers were ready to go. They're hitting. The big guys stepped up. Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado. And at this point of the just season, that's what you want. And if you're a Padres fan, you're excited, right? Because now you have this momentum going up against the LA Dodgers, which I'm so excited to watch the series between the Padres and the Dodgers. It's going to be a fun one. We saw what happened last year. We'll get into we'll do the division round previews tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I'll expand on the schedule towards the end of this episode here. So, yeah, this one was pretty easy for me. I bet the Padres in both games, and they got the job done. Another sweep here for the Padres, but I believe the Braves will be back next season healthy. Hopefully, Chris Sale is back. I know Spencer Strider will probably be back in the latter part of the year because of the Tommy John, and they do expect Ronald Acuna Jr. to be back there as well. So, I mean, if you're a Braves fan, I wouldn't feel too bad about it just because you're missing your key guys, but this team will be back next year for sure.
Austin Riley as well. They missed him down the stretch as well. So this team was riddled with injuries, still making the playoffs. I mean, just shows how good of an organization this is. But yeah, they'll be back. But you kind of knew this one. I felt like was straightforward, and I felt like both games we were getting generous prices with the Padres based on just the name recognition of the Braves and who they are alone. So getting the Padres at under a -140 on both games, I thought was a very generous price by the bookmakers. But, this was a tough blow, losing their best pitcher in Chris Sale, and honestly the best pitcher in the National League for all the year before the season, before the start of this series, was really hard to recover. I said it with Mal yesterday. As soon as Tatis hit that home run in the first game, it felt like the whole life was sucked out of the Braves. And outside of Michael Harris Jr. and Ozzie Albies, this lineup really didn't deliver during this series. Michael Harris Jr., he continues to deliver. He's going to be really good. But you got to give credit to the Padres. Sucks what happened to Joe Musgrove, taking him out. Hopefully he's all right. But, they're hot right now. Michael King, he put on a masterclass in game one. The young kids continue to deliver. Jackson Merrill is a stud. That 1 through 9 is a very tough out in this lineup. They had 6 RBIs or 6 hits with 2 outs. They just kept passing the baton on. That is a really tough lineup. And like you said, I love their chances versus the Dodgers. This is going to be one of the best series in the NL so far.
Yeah, so definitely excited for this series. We'll get into all the series predictions and all that good stuff starting tomorrow on Friday. So definitely excited for that. All right, before we get into game 3 here for the wild card between the Brewers and the Mets, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has one of the biggest menus for all sports when it comes to their pick'em. NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boost. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Sign up with promo code MLBSGP and to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code MLBSGPN. All right, game 3 here tonight between the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers. Jose Quintana getting the start here for the New York Mets. It'll be Tobias Myers getting the start here for the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are a -135 home favorite here, +114 on the money line for the New York Mets. And Dylan, I'll mention this since that format, changed in the playoffs. I believe it was in the year 2022. There's only been, I believe, two of the 22 series have transpired since that change have involved your team to get to a game 3 at least. So 12 wild card series since the league switched to its current format in 2022. Only 2 of them have gone to a winner-take-all game 3, and both of those games involved the New York Mets. And the Mets are 1-1 in those games here. The under is 2-0 in those games as well. So a little extra note there for this game 3 here. So you can maybe, I don't know, we can say that that experience is there for this Mets team in that game 3 when it's a winner, advances type of situation here. Obviously, elimination game here. But D-Rock, what are you thinking about your Mets and the Brewers? Do they advance or are they going home?
This is essentially the second do or die game, especially on Monday that we had. We needing to win to get into the playoffs. But as much as I am rooting, and obviously everyone knows I'm a Met fan by now, my numbers did make the Brewers a minus 130 favorite here at home. But I'm going to continue to back the overs, going actually against your trend and what you said. It's at even money. My total came out to 8.3. The total has cashed this over 2 times the first 2 games. And to be honest, I hate to admit it, but the Brewers have been hitting our left-handed pitchers much better than they have our righties. Jose Quintana 0-2 versus the Brewers this season. Mets 9-8 all-time in win or go home postseason game. So hey, we're right above average right there. But I agree with Trevor in the chat. I do think both pitchers will have a shorter leash in this game. So I was looking at Jose Quintana under outs. It's around 15.5, but it's very juicy. It's like minus 180, minus 190. I think they're going to have very short leashes, both pitchers actually, Myers as well. So I am leaning with the Mets, but with the inconsistency of Quintana, Tobias Myers has been good, but both bullpens have given up their fair share of runs in this series. I just got to lean over. I just don't think the consistency has been there with the bullpen. So I'm going to lean over. That's my official play, but I'm rooting for the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, Tobias Myers, I've been a fan of him, especially when he's pitching in Milwaukee, I should say, at home. On the season, 9-6 with a 3.00 average overall. He actually did face his Mets team back on last Friday. He pitched 4 innings, no earned runs, did have 5 strikeouts in that game. So I think it's just going to depend how long he's going to be out there. I don't hate the strikeout part. Again, it is a little bit juicy at 3.5 at minus 160. But I feel like Myers may have a longer leash here than Quintana. But I've really been a fan of him. And at home this season, I'll mention his splits here for Tobias Myers. 13 appearances he's made at home. 12 of those have been starts. He's 4-1 with a 2.86 ERA. And like I mentioned, he did face his Mets team back on Friday, 4 shutout innings. He only allowed 1 hit in that span. So if they're able to get 4 innings out of him, I wouldn't be surprised here, D-Rock, if they do push Tobias Myers at least to 5 innings here and take some of the pressure off of the back end of the bullpen. Because if he's going along well, I've seen this a lot of times that the pitcher or managers pull those starters for no apparent reason, especially when you're in a elimination game. You want to have that guy who has the hot hand right now just continue pitching. And like you mentioned, Quintana in his career overall hasn't been too bad, but I mean, he's been in the league for a very, very long time, has Jose Quintana. His last start was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but did he face him this season?
Quintana, his last start was against.
Oh yeah, it was against Milwaukee. Yeah, okay.
And then I think his first start of the season was actually against the Brewers as well. Yeah, March 29th. His first start.
There you go. Yeah, you're right. I didn't go all the way down on my sheet here. So, yeah, again, if Quintana's able to settle in as well, it's really going to be telling in those first couple innings. I think what I'm really looking at is those first 2 innings. Mm-hmm. If these pitchers are able to settle in, it might be a very, very tight game. I lean towards the under in this game. Maybe if you want to go like first 5 under. I think that what the Mets have done a fantastic job in the first 2 games, have been getting out and been able to score runs early. I know the Brewers did it in that first inning in game 1, but the Mets were able to respond in the game 1, and they also got out to that, what was it, like a 3-1 lead yesterday. But they just weren't able to hold on and really got away from them in the latter part of the innings there. So I'll lean Brewers here on the money line.
My thing is with the Myers, him going a little longer is I agree where it's like if anyone gets into any sort of trouble, like you said, I think they're going to be yanked early.
Yeah.
I just don't imagine because Mendoza tried to leave. What was his name? I forgot the guy that we left in, but I think his name was Phil Mountain or Matone. He gave up the 2 home runs
yesterday.
Maton, yeah. we kind of left him in and it kind of screwed us.
Yeah.
So I think in any sort of trouble, these managers, they got to leave everything, throw the kitchen sink. And I think they're going to try to play their best cards and use everyone that they can. If they got to put Diaz in for 2 innings, they might have to do that. So same thing on the Brewers side, I think. So I don't know about that, but that's kind of how I feel like the game script is going to go here. But could go anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, if I'm able to find a 4 in that first 5 innings as a total, I wouldn't be opposed to taking that under. I think what you mentioned about the bullpens, that they may come in the latter part and could push this game over the total. Case in point, yesterday in that 8th inning where they were able to tie it up and then take the lead and push that number to 8 runs, where it did obviously get over the 7.5 there. So
I see fours. Yeah. I see fours around.
You see, yeah, especially with a 7.5, you'll be able to find a 4 readily available. So I'll take the first 5 under 4 in this game. In the full game, I'm leaning towards the Brewers here, but hopefully for your sake, D-Rock, that the Mets are able to pull it out here. I think, honestly, you mentioned that under outs prop for Quintana being at under 15.5, even if at juice at minus 180. I would, if you're a same game parlay player, or if you just want to take that, I would still take the under on that, because I think it's probably gonna be David Peterson that's gonna be the next guy coming out of that bullpen for them, right? So
that'd be 3 lefties in a row, though. So you got to imagine the Brewers are seeing lefties well. They just saw Minaya, they're seeing Quintana, and now you're gonna see David Peterson.
That's a good point. Yeah. But I mean, David Peterson, I've been a huge fan of.
He has been
this
good.
Season. He's been really, really good. So I'm surprised he didn't get the start here in Game 3. But I mean, with a veteran like Quintana in there, I mean, I'm not opposed to.
I think it's so challenging to come down on a side in this game, because it
really
can go either way,
Yeah. So I'd like I mentioned, under 4 in the first 5, and then I'll lean towards the Brewers here. Anything else you're looking at overall for this game? For this Game 3 here?
No, I love both. I love both players out props, like I mentioned. Even Trevor mentioned the strikeouts, a little juicy, some of them, but I lean them. Like if you're like you mentioned, if you're a same game parlay player, because I know some of the books, they give you some sweat free parlays. If you want to do that, have some fun with it in the only baseball game tonight. But my favorite play is actually going to be the over. So that's the only thing I really got to the window with here.
I want to see what the walks prop is for Quintana.
I tried to get there yesterday with Sean Minaya, his over 1.5 walks. I could
it's 2+ of that minus 230.
Yeah, it's at 2.5 at plus 118, and then it's just 1 for Tobias Myers at minus 225.
Yeah, I don't like that, because I think if he gives up 2 walks, you'll see that bullpen start having some activity in there, and then you'll probably get pulled after that. But I will mention this for Quintana. He's issued at least 2 walks in 4 of his 5 final starts of the regular season there. So keep that in mind. And overall in his career against the Brewers, 36 walks. And like we mentioned, he did have 2 walks in his last start last Friday in a 6-0 loss to the Brewers, 4 1/3, 2 earned runs. He did have 9 strikeouts in the game and 2 walks, like I mentioned there. All right. Before we get to best bets for this Game 3 wild card game on Friday night, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is a #1 AI-powered backed sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player props, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. Use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Make sure you use that promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. All right, D-Rock, let's wrap it up here with a best bet for this game 3 between the Brewers and the Mets. Where are you taking us?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Mets here. I got to. In a do-or-die situation, like you said, we have the experience in these kind of do-or-die game 3 wild card games. 1-1. Hopefully we make it 2-1 here. I'm gonna trust Quintana in our bullpen. Hopefully our bats deliver, show up. Hopefully we get some good luck from Grimace. But I gotta take the Mets here. I think in a shootout game, I think Menendez pushes all the right buttons with our bullpen, and hopefully we just don't blow it here. I'm gonna take the Mets here. It was gut wrenching yesterday, but I think we bounce back here.
Yeah, I think the great part about the Mets, at least in the first 2 games early on, has been able to their ability to find ways to score runs.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference, I think, in this game and what's kind of really transpired in the other 3 series that propelled those teams to win have been the teams that have been able to get those clutch hits with 2 outs. And I think that's the biggest factor when it comes down to these type of games, is that which team, excuse me, is going to be able to get that clutch hit with base runners on with 2 outs. And I think that the Tigers did a great job of that. We saw the Royals were able to muster up the runs with it. And then, yesterday with the Padres there as well. So I think that's going to be a key factor in this game. I'm going to go with the first 5 under in this game. The number's at 4. It's readily available across, many, many places. I feel like at least in the first couple innings here, these pitchers will be able to lock in. But I do trust that if David Peterson does come in, who I've been a fan of this season, who's made me a lot of money, that he'll go along well here. I know he's another left-handed pitcher for the New York Mets, but I do have faith that Tobias Myers will probably be out there at least 3 to 4 innings. Hopefully he doesn't blow up. But I do think that we do expect quick leashes for these pitchers here tonight. But I just think that runs will be at a premium at least in the first 5 innings here. So I'll take the under 4 in the first 5 innings here, game 3 between the Mets and the Brewers. If you're having me pick a side, I'll side with the home team here. But again, I don't love it. It's just very difficult to land on a side here between the Mets and the Brewers. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast. D-Rock, anything else you want to mention before we go our separate ways?
3 words. Let's go Mets.
I'm pretty sure that Dylan's going to eat all of his lunch and dinner before this game starts. Probably going to be too nervous.
You've never seen me watch a game, but I get like real nervous. I keep pacing around. I sit in different spots to see what has good luck and what doesn't. I'm a wreck. So yeah, just pray for me.
Tyson asking about the Nerfy. I'm not usually a Nerfy type of player. But
Nerfy I know has been profitable in the postseason though.
Yeah, I think it was yes, not in this series because I know it's the Yerfy is 2-0 in this series.
Yeah.
Because the Brewers got out to a 1-0 lead in game 1.
And then we did yesterday.
And then you guys did yesterday. And then I think they responded with a Jackson Cheerio home run in the bottom of the first yesterday. So take that for what it's worth in this game, that the Yerfy is 2-0 in the series here, Tyson. So keep that in mind. All right, so the game plan, we'll come back tomorrow, probably around the same time, and we'll do the divisional round series preview for all 4 series tomorrow. So it should be a longer episode tomorrow, similar to what we did for the wild card round. We'll go through every single series, give our predictions, and who advances to the championship series. But should be a fun one. 3 of the 4 matchups are set: Tigers, Guardians, Royals, Yankees, Padres, Dodgers. We'll find out who will be playing the Philadelphia Phillies at the conclusion of tonight between the Mets and the Brewers. So that's kind of the plan here. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the MLB Gambling Podcast YouTube channel, because when we do go live, you'll know when we will. But we'll probably keep it around the same time, get it out early for you guys. I know we've had a lot more success with at least people joining the live chat on YouTube here. But again, don't forget about the audio version as well, whether you want to go back and listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you do get your podcast. I definitely do appreciate if you guys can, download the pod and listen to the audio version as well. Appreciate everybody in the chat that joined us. TVDBJ, Captain Insano. We had Tyson in there. Maddie was in there as well. So appreciate everybody that's joins us every single day in the YouTube channel. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, like I mentioned. Till then, enjoy Game 3 here tonight. Let's break these books off and always remember to let it ride.